So a one-day clan brawl might be the best game mode that you can possibly play. By stacking full eco flags like you just saw and one gold camo, on a win, you are able to obtain 23,113 free XP. Now, there are better camos you could use, but that's just using a gold camo. And uh that's a lot of free XP. Our clan played 18 games of Clan Brawl yesterday, and we're probably going to play some more today. Of those 18 games, we won 17 of them, which means in 3 hours and 45 minutes, I cleared 392,000 free XP. And on top of that, it's incredibly fun. I don't normally like clan battles as a game mode. I think the season and the format drags on way too long, especially when there are aircraft carriers involved, because I honestly, intentionally playing against unicums in that class is got to be the most dreadful experience possible. But when you and all of your other buddies just get to mess around in Clan Brawl, because there's really no reason not to, and you get to make out like a bandit with free XP, why wouldn't you want to play this game mode? Now, the game that I'm showing right now is the last game that we played of Clan Brawl, and this was by far the closest game that we had. We didn't really start out that well this game, but we did make a very nice reposition on the team to come back, and it's one that I really wanted to upload to YouTube and share with you guys. Now, as far as you guys and the average person who's probably watching this video, being able to make out with 17 out of 18 games as a win, I know that that's not a realistic possibility. I am an '07 member. I have a super unicum win rate. I'm playing with 6 other dudes who also have the exact same stats as me. So of course we're going to be winning a lot more than others. But if you're somebody who's of that average caliber and playing with a whole bunch of other average players, you should be able to win half of your games. And if you are those types of people who are interested in ships like getting the Smallin before it goes off of sale, or getting stuff like the Alaska or other free XP ships that Wargaming puts out for 1 million, or if you're inclined to start doing Research Bureau because you want to get the Slava or the Ohio, well, clan brawls are the best way to help you by doing this, because not only can you get an incredibly large amount of free XP very quickly, you can do it with a pretty high rate of return. And these ships that would otherwise take an astronomically large amount of time to do in random battles can quite easily be done in clan battles, especially clan brawl. So if you're not a part of a clan, don't worry. You can just be a mercenary. Clan Brawl at least allows up to 6 mercenaries, and since it's a 7 versus 7, only one person needs to be in the clan in order to take advantage of this. So even if you're only able to win half of your games, or even less than that, I definitely recommend playing this game mode, especially if you have some friends that you can play with, because you will have an absolutely fantastic time doing so. Uh, if anybody watched my stream of this the other day, they can attest to it. '07 clan is, I think it's like 40 people, and every single one of us is some form of an ape. I think we're directly descended from chimpanzees, like 3 generations. Like, it's incredibly stupid how we are on comms. So honestly, it's probably the best time you can have with World of Warships, and it does disappoint me that Wargaming doesn't do these game modes as often as they do. But I am glad that every now and then we get the opportunity to do so. Now, this current Clan Brawl season is 7v7. They do change it up every now and then. Sometimes it's 3v3. We once had 12v12, which was a little bit of a shit show. This one is Tier 8 7v7 Arms Race. And I love Arms Race as a game mode because it is such a fun way to remove how stale World of Warships is. Hold on, look at this shot. I predict that the DD is going to go backwards, and I take the shot, and I hit him. I'm sorry, I'm very proud about this one, and I just want to toot my own horn a little bit, but just, like, look at this. I'm incredibly good at World of Warships. I can't. But, Yeah. So yeah, they change the game mode up all the time with Clan Brawl, so it's never going to be the same thing. So you should always try to participate in it. Like, I remember the 12v12. I thought 12v12 Tier 10 Clan Brawl was going to be the worst game mode Wargaming put out. You want to know what we did as 07? Alright, we ran a Hakuryu, because it was a CV, and 11 Stalingrads. With range mod, and we would delete ships that would dare to get spotted at the beginning of the game. It was the dumbest thing ever. But it worked, and it was hilarious for the 3-4 hours that we played. That's all we did yesterday. We only played 4 hours. Called it quits. Not even 4 hours. My recording of the entire session is 3 hours and 43 minutes long before we stopped, so you don't need to put in an excessive amount of time to reap these rewards and to just get a really fun experience out of World of Warships, which myself and a lot of other people, I think, are desperately missing. One of our clanmates, you might see him as a renamed user in the chat, that's actually Potato Quality. And if you notice, he's not in 07 anymore, because he left the clan, hid his stats, and changed his name to that renamed user, simply because he was so tired of playing World of Warships random battles and getting focused because of who he was. And that's the lengths that that man has to go to try to have fun while playing the game. And so if you're anybody else who's possibly struggling to have fun, maybe you're not finding playing against carriers or thunderers fun, and you're thinking about stopping with World of Warships, I recommend trying to get in on this game mode, because you'll absolutely love it. So reach out to some people, like, see if you have any friends available that are, ready to play or are down for just a few hours at a time, because it's well worth the experience. And even if you get matched up against a clan that you have absolutely no hope of beating, because it happens, 07 will run into clans quite often, especially on the first day of these things, where they're like a Storm League clan at best during main seasons, and obviously 07's a Hurricane, but those games are so quick and easily done with that you should be able to move on to the next one relatively quickly. But yeah, guys, Wargaming has really no other opportunities for this much potential out of World of Warships, in my opinion. Ranked is unfortunately just random battles at 7v7, and random battles itself is kind of a mess right now, especially with the captain skill rework going on and passive Deadeye meta just being exacerbated beyond belief, so everything is just rather rough when it comes to playing the game normally right now. But this Clan Brawl is going on for 4 more days. The session starts at, I think it's 5 my time, which would be 4 p.m. Pacific, and it runs for 5 hours, so that's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's running for the next 4 days, the time I upload this video, so keep that in mind. Just check when Wargaming's doing it, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about the rest of this game, because there's not much else to say about Clan Brawl. Fun game mode, try to find some time to play it. But this game is against KSC, and these guys put up an absolutely incredible fight. Now, neither team was necessarily running the most meta comp. We were never running a meta comp. As you see, I'm playing an Amagi, and I'm not even playing the Amagi. I'm playing the Ignis Purgarato, or however you say it. I don't know. It's a Warhammer ship. But in all technicalities, it's an Amagi clone. The Lenin is the most meta battleship, which PQ is playing, but him and I were switching off battleships pretty much all night. I started by playing the Roma for like 6 games, so... and these guys are running a Tirpitz and a Lenin, so clearly you can tell, like, most teams aren't even running meta comps. Some will, but those are only the super high-level clans that you really don't have that much of a risk of running into. And it's arms race, so... the way that arms race works is that buffs will spawn periodically throughout the game that make every ship on the team stronger. And you need to defend and control these buffs, because every buff that the enemy team gets greatly increases the chance of them being able to snowball the game away. And unfortunately, we did not have good buff control at the beginning of this game, and the enemy team is sitting on heal buffs, which means that they are always passively regenning health. But unfortunately for us, we have no healing buffs. which means that every hit our destroyers take is permanent. Every hit their destroyers take can slowly be regened back. Now, eventually, these buffs do give way to a central cap, which is incredibly powerful. It's like 10 points a second, so you absolutely have to control it. It's like Epicenter on steroids. So, you see everybody basically, myself included, we moved off of the flanks where we were originally to try to create crossfires, to essentially just YOLOing into these caps. And since I have so much HP and so much armor, I'm basically bullying my way straight forward. Now, the current situation that we have here is a completely tie game. Both teams are missing one ship, 10 minutes to go in the game, and that's it. Everybody else is completely tied up. So, what I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to force all 3 ships on the left flank, the Edinburgh, the Akazuki, and the Tirpitz, out of this cap by bullying my health bar into the direction. And the guys on the right side of the map are going to try their hardest to work the Lenin out of that spot, which, if you've ever fought a Lenin, is technically impossible. The thing has no superstructure. It can't burn and it can't flood, and it just doesn't die. So they have a damn near impossible task, and that Lenin does an absolutely great job of living for as long as he possibly can. We actually played a Lenin a few games earlier who reversed bow into our team while getting farmed by like 3 different ships for, I think, 15 kilometers of distance in reverse. That's how dumb that ship can be. But as you notice, we started getting a lot of capture progress, and the Edinburgh has lost his radar position, which is what I was trying to do. Destroyers are incredibly strong at tier 8, and especially in Clan Brawl, that is no exception. They are vitally important. So the radar ships like the Edinburgh, they need to be boxed out, or else they have a very high chance of dominating your destroyers. That's why I went into this position originally, was to just basically remove the Edinburgh as a threat. If he's at range and far away from my DDs, he cannot do anything. He is essentially worthless to his team. And that was what I accomplished. Now, I am getting farmed down a little bit in the process, but I do have my heals left. And since we don't have any passive healing, my heals are still 100% effective. Now, one thing I didn't say earlier about Arms Race, which I should have, but I've just kind of remembered about it now. This central cap shrinks as time goes on. So, while the power of the cap does not change, it's still 10 points a second, it gets smaller and smaller, meaning you have to try harder and harder to hold on to it. Now, game is still tied, keep that in mind, and they are still contesting the cap. However, the Lenin did just leave the cap right now. The Terrible on the enemy team does an incredibly surprising flank that actually kills our Terrible. And we absolutely need to kill that guy. If he's allowed to live, then we are going to lose the game. He is on basically no HP, and we do have destroyers in the area to try to like wrap him up. But before we can go after that guy, the Akazuki shows up because of our Cossack spotting him. So everybody switches to him instead. And so us as a clan, we jump into this most frantic frenzy, just trying to kill the destroyers, because we're essentially getting ensnared a little bit because of that Tirpitz being able to push around. Now, while the Amagi is a great brawler, rule number 1 against battleships is never brawl a Tirpitz because of its torpedoes. So I can't really do anything about staying close to him, which is why I gave the ground on him in the first place. We do get the Akazuki, but unfortunately we trade the Cossack out, and because we lost the other Terrible, we're actually down a ship now, so we absolutely need to make some type of comeback here. Now, the 2 most vulnerable ships we find on the enemy team we see are the Lenin and the Terrible. He's basically stuck on an island, the LT, and can't go anywhere, else he dies to BFK, and which happens immediately. So now all eyes are focused on this Lenin, because he essentially has nowhere to go. He can go to his right, which is basically straight at me, and he has to worry about the Lenin and the Atago. He can sit on that island, but he gets YOLO'd by the Atago. He can go to his left, but he also gets YOLO'd by the Atago. So no matter what, he's basically getting YOLO'd by the Atago here. I just don't know if he knows it yet, because it's really hard to tell when the Atago gets spotted. Now, I think I have a god shot here that does no damage, which really upset me. I was hoping that that could be great. But if you notice, there's another problem. and that's the Turpits. And he is quickly going to be very, very, very close to me. And he has a lot of health, which means we need to do something about him. So I say to BFK, hey, let the Atago and the Lenin handle the other Lenin. We still can ignore the Edinburgh and the Akazuki, but we need to go ahead and kill the Turpits, because BFK is on basically no HP here, and he can't afford to fight, so I'm the only one with guns who can actually shoot at the Turpits here. Uh, and if you notice, he has quite a health advantage over me. And while I don't consider the Turpits to be good, if he is running some form of secondary build, he is close enough to take advantage of those secondaries against me. So I'll probably be burning. I actually also don't know what the Akazuki is doing, but he could probably use an island to start farming. Now, the Atago does YOLO kill the Lenin, so the Lenin is dead. However, if you notice where the Turpits' guns are pointed, he's actually trying to kill the Atago as well. The Edinburgh, who hasn't been spotted in quite a while, shows up basically where the Lenin was, and now him and the Atago are locked into each other. And it's just insane. There's so much going on at once. The Atago and the Edinburgh ram. The Turpits eats a torpedo. I am basically just sitting here tanking for him. The LT can't shoot. The Akazuki is trying to cap. The Lenin, and this is great, the potato quality in the Lenin is reversing ass in towards the enemy team on like 3,000 HP. And now keep in mind, none of the Lenin's guns point backwards, so he can't actually really shoot here, but they can't kill him. A couple of lucky torpedoes land on the Turpits, and now the game that we were down one ship on has suddenly swung to us being 2 ahead. Oh wait, I guess he does have HP. My bad. He will lose it quite rapidly to those torpedoes that he's about to eat. That's where he lost all of his health, but this game is just so fun. It's such a random, just cluster of stupidity that's going on. That's all somehow highly coordinated and just incredible. So, yeah. Essentially, the Turpits dying is the end of the game. He'd have to kill the Akazuki and myself, which really isn't possible. I take a very wide turn here to avoid Turpits torpedoes. And once the LT gets back, this Akazuki doesn't have enough health to do anything, and the game is essentially won at this point. But that was an incredibly fun game where 6 minutes there, from 10 minutes to 4 minutes, nobody, the 10-minute mark to the 4-minute mark, nobody knew who was going to really win this game. And, you know, round of applause to KSC for actually putting up a really fun game and a really fun fight. I don't want every game to be a steamroll for free XP, but when you get games like this, it just makes the whole experience satisfying and a great game to finish it all off on. So, yeah, guys, Clan Brawl is still going on. Make sure, if you have the opportunity, get yourself involved in the game mode, because you will have a ton of fun, and you can definitely stack a large amount of resources. So if you are somebody who's on the fence about getting the small end and just doesn't know if they have the time to grind out the free XP, in 5 hours, you could probably grind out a minimum of 250k. Provided you're winning like half of your games. I absolutely think that that is possible. And the gold camos offer 200% free XP, and so do the bronze and silver camos. So if you've played or dabbled in any ranked at all, Wargaming is essentially handing you a free camouflage that'll just easily stack free XP for you. And that's another reason why this is pretty easy to do. So, all that in mind, guys, have a good one. I'm out. Links down below in the description. If you could drop a follow, that's much appreciated. And I think in tomorrow's video I will probably do on ranked battles, because I have a lot to say about ranked, and basically how Wargaming improved it but didn't do anything to actually change or improve the game mode itself. That'll make more sense once I upload the video. Take care, everyone. I'm out.